Stop. Listen closely. This moment carries weight beyond coincidence. Today is the 24th of January, a point in time that moves quietly yet powerfully. Timing like this rarely announces itself loudly. Power flows in silence, and those who sense it step into a different current, while others continue familiar cycles without awareness. I am Shi Heng Yi. My path has always focused on discipline, awareness, and alignment. Financial struggle rarely begins in the wallet. It begins in rhythm, in order, in timing. When life moves out of sync, effort feels heavy and progress slows without clear reason. This prayer arrives during a narrow spiritual opening, a window where intention meets unseen support, a moment where focus turns into movement. Many pass through days like this unaware, yet a few recognize the shift and align their energy with precision and calm certainty. Within this video, ancient Shaolin insight blends with spiritual clarity around money flow, stability, and inner balance. Borrowing, pressure, and lack grow stronger when timing remains ignored. Freedom grows when action aligns with the right moment and the mind regains order. This practice lasts 1 minute, yet its reach extends far beyond 60 seconds. Not through force, not through panic, through calm attention and disciplined trust. Abundance responds to order, not chaos. Calm focus invites resources, while fear quietly pushes them away. Remain present until the final moment. The closing guidance completes the cycle and allows the message to settle fully. Leaving early weakens momentum. Staying strengthens alignment and inner clarity. Energy follows attention, and attention shapes outcome. This channel exists to share inner mastery, grounded faith, and practical spiritual power for modern life. Welcome to Shaolin Divine Flow. Subscribe and walk this path with clarity, strength, and perfect timing. Borrowing never feels heavy at first. It enters quietly, almost politely. A small solution to a temporary problem. Yet beneath the surface, something deeper begins to shift. The weight does not sit in the pocket. It settles in the chest. It follows thoughts into the night. It changes how the mind wakes each morning. Money borrowed carries emotion with it. Expectation, pressure, fear of delay, fear of judgment. Even before repayment begins, peace starts to thin. Confidence softens. Decisions feel rushed. The heart moves from calm intention to quiet survival. Borrowing slowly trains the mind to look outward instead of inward. Strength turns into dependence. Clarity turns into worry. Faith becomes conditional, measured by numbers rather than trust. This is how balance slips away without noise or warning. Emotional weight grows heavier than financial weight. Every borrowed amount whispers reminders. Every message, every due date, every thought of repayment tightens the body. The shoulders tense, breathing shortens. The mind loses stillness. When peace weakens, creativity fades. When confidence fades, opportunity becomes harder to recognize. Faith suffers quietly in this cycle, not because belief disappears, but because fear begins to speak louder. Trust feels distant. Gratitude feels forced. The heart starts asking for relief instead of alignment. Over time, this imbalance repeats itself, creating a pattern that feels difficult to escape. Borrowing also changes self-perception. A subtle voice begins to question worth, timing, and ability. This voice does not shout. It whispers repeatedly, until doubt feels familiar. The external situation mirrors the internal state, reinforcing the same loop. True stability begins when emotional weight lifts, when the mind regains calm, when confidence returns to its natural place, when faith no longer depends on immediate outcomes, but rests in inner order and disciplined trust. God's design has always pointed towards strength, not dependence. From the beginning, provision was woven into purpose. Life was never meant to feel like a constant reaching outward, asking, waiting, borrowing. That state creates imbalance. True alignment restores dignity, stability, and inner authority. Begging weakens the spirit long before it touches the hands. Borrowing trains the heart to expect lack instead of flow. Over time, dependence reshapes identity. A person begins to measure worth by permission, approval, or timing controlled by others. This was never the original intention. Provision is not a reward reserved for a few. It is a spiritual inheritance activated through alignment, discipline, and trust. When the mind steadies and the heart releases fear, pathways begin to open, not always loudly, often quietly. Opportunities appear where vision sharpens. Support arrives where effort meets calm focus. Short, focused prayer holds power because it recenters the soul. Length does not create strength. Presence does. A single minute spoken with clarity restores order faster than hours of anxious thought. In stillness, intention sharpens. In calm speech, belief realigns. Freedom from borrowing does not mean excess. It means sufficiency. Enough to move without fear. Enough to plan without pressure. Enough to give without anxiety. This shift begins internally before it manifests externally. Lack dissolves when the inner dialogue changes. Words spoken daily become instructions, the mind follows faithfully. Speech shapes direction. When language carries trust, the body relaxes. When the body relaxes, decisions improve. Wisdom replaces urgency. Patience replaces desperation. This creates space for provision to grow naturally instead of being chased. Fear thrives on repetition. Trust grows through consistency. Calm practice repeated daily builds stability faster than dramatic effort fueled by panic. Gratitude strengthens this process. Thankfulness signals readiness. It confirms belief before evidence appears. When gratitude flows easily, increase response without resistance. This is how alignment deepens, not through force, through steady trust, disciplined focus, and quiet confidence that provision belongs naturally within your path. Power does not respond to volume. It responds to focus. A short, focused prayer carries strength because it gathers the mind instead of scattering it. When attention sharpens, belief deepens. Faith becomes present, not distant or theoretical. Length often hides distraction. Words pile up while the heart wanders. A single minute spoken with full awareness cuts through noise. In that moment, doubt has no room to interrupt. Intention stands clear and undiluted. This is why simplicity holds authority. Faith is not measured by how long the lips move. It is measured by how deeply the heart commits. 1 minute of complete belief shifts the inner state faster than repeated request filled with uncertainty. Stillness gives weight to every word spoken. Focused prayer resets internal order. Breathing slows. The nervous system softens. Fear loosens its grip. In this calm space, the mind becomes receptive. Guidance feels clearer. Decisions feel lighter. Trust begins to replace urgency. When belief fills the full minute, the body responds. Tension releases. Shoulders lower. The chest opens. This physical change signals readiness. Alignment begins internally before it reflects outward. Prayer works first on posture, thought, and expectation. Consistency strengthens this process. A single minute practice daily builds discipline. Discipline builds stability. Stability attracts provision naturally. Chaos repels opportunity. Order invites it. Calm repetition trains the mind to expect sufficiency instead of lack. Short prayer also protects peace. It prevents emotional exhaustion. It avoids desperation. It keeps faith grounded instead of strained. Calm faith carries clarity. Clear faith speaks with confidence, not fear. Gratitude woven into this minute amplifies its effect. Thankfulness affirms trust before evidence appears. It communicates readiness without demand. When gratitude flows easily, resistance dissolves. Increase responds quietly without struggle. This focused moment becomes an anchor, a daily pause that recenters intention, a reminder that provision flows through alignment, not pressure. 1 minute of steady belief keeps the inner world ordered, allowing the outer world to follow naturally. Never borrow again does not point towards sudden wealth or dramatic overnight change. It speaks of a deeper shift, a movement from instability into steadiness, from reaction into wisdom, from chasing solutions into living aligned with provision. True provision grows quietly. It builds through clarity, patience, and disciplined choices. When wisdom replaces urgency, money begins to serve rather than control. Decisions slow down. Priorities sharpen, waste fades, direction strengthens. This is how freedom forms. Steady provision removes the emotional spikes that borrowing creates. No panic at the end of the month. No pressure tied to deadlines. No silent fear of falling behind. Instead, there is rhythm. Income and effort begin to match. The mind plans instead of worries. The heart trusts instead of reacts. Wisdom changes how resources are handled. Small amounts stretch further. Opportunities appear more clearly. The right connections arrive naturally because discernment improves. This is not luck. It is alignment. When the inner world becomes ordered, the outer world reflects that order. Freedom from borrowing also restores dignity. Self-respect strengthens. Confidence rebuilds. Choices come from intention instead of necessity. This shift allows generosity to return without fear. Giving becomes joyful, not stressful. Receiving feels natural, not shameful. Provision guided by wisdom grows steadily. It does not rush, it does not shout. It remains consistent through seasons. Even during challenge, stability holds. Faith remains calm because trust rests in process, not pressure. This path reshapes the relationship with money. It transforms it from a source of stress into a tool of service, from a master into a servant, from fear into flow. Steady provision arrives when discipline replaces desperation, when clarity replaces confusion, when trust becomes habitual. This is the meaning behind never borrowing again. Not excess, not display, but a life guided by wisdom, balance, and quiet sufficiency that continues to grow without strain. Lack does not start with empty pockets. It starts with crowded thoughts, repeated worries, silent fears, old beliefs carried for years without question. Before money tightens, the mind contracts, vision narrows, possibility fades. This inner state quietly shapes every outcome that follows. The mind listens constantly. Every thought becomes instruction. When thoughts repeat scarcity, the body responds with tension. Decisions grow defensive. Risk feels dangerous. Creativity shuts down. The wallet simply reflects this inner pattern already set in motion. This is why prayer matters. Not as a request alone, but as a reset. Prayer interrupts mental loops. It breaks rehearsed fear. It replaces automatic doubt with intentional trust. In that moment, inner programming begins to change. When prayer is spoken with awareness, the nervous system calms, breathing deepens, the body feels safer. Safety opens perception. New ideas surface. Solutions once invisible begin to appear naturally. The mind becomes receptive instead of reactive. Removing the spirit of lack means changing the inner conversation. Words spoken during prayer plant new instructions. Enough, provision, support, flow. These words reshape expectation. Expectation shapes behavior. Behavior shapes outcome. Faith grows stronger as the mind quiets. Trust settles when pressure dissolves. Gratitude becomes easier because fear loosens its grip. This shift may feel subtle, but it is powerful. Inner alignment always precedes external change. Old patterns resist at first. Lack does not leave without challenge. It attempts to return through doubt, comparison, or impatience. Consistent prayer weakens its voice. Calm repetition retrains thought. Over time, scarcity loses authority. As inner order returns, clarity increases. Spending becomes intentional. Choices become wiser. Effort becomes focused. Provision responds to this alignment without force. Prayer does not force money to arrive. It prepares the mind to receive it. When inner programming changes, reality follows. Lack dissolves quietly when belief shifts steadily, allowing space for sufficiency to grow naturally. Words carry direction. They move energy before action ever begins. Every phrase spoken repeatedly becomes a path the mind follows without resistance. This is why language shapes experience more than effort alone. Speech trains expectation, and expectation guides outcome. Many speak lack without noticing. Small phrases, casual complaints, quiet jokes about struggle. Each word reinforces an inner agreement with scarcity. Over time, the mind accepts these statements as truth and begins to act accordingly. The external world simply mirrors this internal script. Prayer interrupts this pattern by introducing new language. Intentional words spoken calmly replace unconscious habits. When the mouth speaks abundance, the mind listens. When the mind listens, behavior adjusts. Choices begin to align with sufficiency rather than survival. This prayer rewires language at its root, not through exaggeration, through clarity and trust. Phrases spoken with belief reshape internal rhythm. Fear loses volume. Confidence gains ground. The body relaxes into a state of readiness instead of defense. Aligned language changes posture. The shoulders drop. The voice steadies. The breath deepens. These physical responses signal inner agreement. Agreement strengthens belief. Belief influences timing and decision-making. As words shift, gratitude becomes natural. Thankfulness flows without force because expectation changes. The mind begins to notice provision instead of absence. Opportunities become visible where they were once overlooked. This is not coincidence. It is awareness expanding. Consistent language creates consistency in experience. Calm words produce calm outcomes. Trust-filled speech attracts stable results. Chaos dissolves when language stabilizes. This practice requires attentiveness. Speaking with intention, pausing before negative patterns, repeat. Choosing words that support flow rather than reinforce struggle. Over time, this discipline becomes automatic. Abundance does not arrive only through action. It responds to alignment. When words reflect trust, the inner world steadies. When the inner world steadies, the outer world adjusts. Language becomes the bridge between belief and experience, quietly guiding provision into form. Fear has a quiet way of chaining the mind. It whispers warnings that feel like protection, but in reality it restricts movement. Every hesitation, every just-in-case thought, builds invisible walls around opportunity. Fear keeps people circling the same patterns, repeating debt, repeating lack, repeating struggle. It convinces the mind that security comes from holding tightly rather than trusting fully. Debt grows not only from necessity, but from this unseen resistance. Fear shapes decisions more than circumstance. It drives borrowing when patience could have sufficed. It creates urgency when calmness would reveal solutions. The louder the fear, the heavier the cycle becomes, until life feels like a constant race to catch what slips further away. Trust works differently. It does not force. It does not push. It opens doors unseen to the eye, but clear to the prepared mind. When trust is present, even small steps become meaningful. Actions gain alignment with timing that fear would have obscured. Decisions become less reactive and more intentional. Faith fills the space that fear once occupied, and with it, calm courage emerges. Trust teaches patience without resignation. It signals readiness to receive before evidence appears. The heart relaxes while the mind remains alert. This combination allows opportunity to arrive in ways that cannot be forced or predicted. It is subtle but powerful. Unseen doors swing open where once only walls existed. Relationships, opportunities, income, and guidance begin to converge naturally when fear is replaced by deliberate faith. Breaking the grip of fear requires daily practice. Each moment of quiet trust chips away at old patterns. The mind learns to anticipate sufficiency instead of shortage. The body learns to move forward with confidence rather than recoil. Step by step, the cycle of debt loosens its hold, and space forms for provision to flow steadily. Trust does not guarantee instant results, but it guarantees alignment, preparation, and readiness to embrace the abundance that is already moving toward you. Consistency carries quiet power. Desperation shouts loudly, demanding attention, yet it rarely produces lasting change. When the heart trembles with urgency, words scatter, intention weakens, and the mind struggles to focus. Provision cannot settle in chaos. Calm presence creates space for flow, while panic pushes it away. This prayer works best when spoken slowly, deliberately, and with full awareness. One breath at a time, each word carries meaning. The energy behind the speech matters far more than the number of repetitions. Calmness signals trust. It shows readiness to receive rather than a plea driven by fear. In that stillness, alignment grows, and doors begin to open where resistance once blocked the path. Peace is magnetic. It attracts support, insight, and opportunities that hurried effort misses entirely. When the mind is steady, it notices solutions previously overlooked. When the heart is quiet, the body moves with clarity instead of tension. Every decision becomes aligned with wisdom instead of reaction. Steady attention over time reshapes circumstances more than frantic attempts to fix everything at once. Desperation carries cost. It drains energy, clouds judgment, and reinforces the cycle of lack. Calm repetition, on the other hand, reinforces faith. Every minute spoken with focus strengthens the mind-body connection to abundance. Each practice deepens trust, retrains expectation, and prepares the soul to act from strength rather than need. Consistency does not demand perfection. It asks only for presence. Daily practice creates rhythm. Rhythm builds momentum. Momentum generates results quietly, without fanfare or struggle. Over time, this disciplined focus transforms habits, decisions, and perception. Calm faith becomes a steady current, guiding provision into place. Peace shapes reality. Calm words shape destiny. Focused, consistent prayer trains the mind to expect sufficiency, the heart to feel trust, and the life to align with the natural flow of abundance. Panic may call loudly, but only calmness opens the door to lasting, steady provision. Gratitude is more than a feeling. It is a signal to the universe, a declaration that the heart is ready to receive. When the mind focuses on what is already present, it creates space for more. Thankfulness shifts perception from lack to abundance, turning ordinary moments into reminders of provision already flowing. Every act of gratitude trains the body and mind to recognize opportunity. When you speak words of thanks, even quietly, the heart aligns with trust, and the mind begins to notice paths that were previously invisible. Small blessings become stepping stones, and the awareness of these blessings attracts greater opportunities. Gratitude becomes a bridge between intention and manifestation. This practice multiplies what arrives, because energy flows where attention goes. Focusing on scarcity strengthens limitation, but focusing on sufficiency strengthens expansion. Thankfulness shifts vibration. It softens fear, steadies intention, and communicates readiness without effort or demand. The universe responds to this clarity. Provision does not need to be forced. It finds the prepared mind naturally. Daily gratitude transforms expectation into experience. Recognizing the abundance that already exists rewires thought patterns and reshapes habits. The heart begins to feel trust instinctively, the body relaxes, and decisions arise from clarity rather than pressure. This subtle internal shift magnifies external outcomes over time. Gratitude also fosters humility and discernment. When thankfulness guides action, generosity flows easily and resources are used wisely. The cycle of giving and receiving strengthens, creating stability and momentum. Abundance no longer feels rare or distant, but natural and accessible. When spoken in combination with focused prayer, gratitude activates spiritual alignment. It multiplies the effects of intention, reinforces belief, and opens doors that fear or doubt would have kept closed. The mind and heart move in harmony, signaling that the soul is ready. Increase response not to desperation, but to this calm, centered readiness. Gratitude is the quiet force that amplifies provision, creating a life where abundance flows steadily and naturally. Take a deep breath and allow your mind to settle. Let the world slow down for just a moment. In this quiet space, your heart becomes open, your intention clear, and your faith steady. Feel the calm wash over you as you prepare to speak from a place of trust, not need. Close your eyes if it feels right. Focus on the rhythm of your breath, the stillness of this moment, and the power of your words. Let every phrase rise from clarity and belief. Know that this prayer carries alignment, not pressure. Let it guide you toward provision, wisdom, and peace. If this message touched your heart, please like the video and subscribe to Shaolin Divine Flow to join our journey of inner mastery, faith, and abundance. Share this moment with others who need guidance and calm in their lives. Now, speak softly, with intention, and with trust. God, I release all fear of lack. I step into provision with clarity and faith. I receive guidance, stability, and abundance. I choose trust over worry. I am ready for blessings to flow in perfect timing. Amen. Remain still for a few seconds, allowing the energy to settle, the mind to align, and the heart to feel the shift. Remember, every small, intentional step shapes your path. Every calm, focused moment invites provision. Trust in this process. Speak with faith. Walk with clarity. Provision flows naturally, and peace always follows those who align themselves with it.